Folks, once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Controversial topic. That is nothing surprising for this particular page, but I do want to discuss this. This is coming from none other than Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek Ramaswamy, while running for the nation's highest office, has made a series of rather controversial comments. So what I want to do is bring it to the folks because I am certainly curious if any of you folks also believe this. If this resonates with any of you folks. Like I stated, we all know Vivek Ramaswamy is seeking the nation's highest office. Now, many would suggest going up against Trump, it is a losing battle. That is fine. However, there are a hell of a lot of Trump supporters, my beloved MAGA, that favor Vivek Ramaswamy, and certainly these comments that we're about to discuss here today. So we got actually two topics. Something said by Nikki Haley that's making its rounds, fairly minor compared to what Vivek Ramaswamy has stated, but I want to run this by you. I want to hear your opinion. As always, you know we don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. So understand when you come in the box, whether you're in the comments on TikTok or YouTube, nobody's going to censor you. It's all about free speech. Starting out with Vivek Ramaswamy. He recently stated just a few days ago that what happened on January 6th was an inside job perpetrated by the U.S. government. He believes the individuals now incarcerated were entrapped, victims of entrapment by the U.S. government. He also vehemently states that there were federal agents in the crowd there that day perpetrating the entire event, and suggested that on day one he will pardon those who are serving time. I want to find out from you folks. Like I stated, all opinions are welcome here. Have you seen any evidence that convinces you what took place that dark day was an inside job perpetrated by the U.S. government? Whereas it makes sense for a presidential candidate to suggest pardoning them on day one. In other words, what happened to the protesters is indeed a miscarriage of justice, and you would simply be doing the system right by pardoning them. That's what we're going to be discussing today. And as I mentioned earlier, Nikki Haley looks like was at a town hall and was asked a question. What was the reason for the Civil War? She gave every answer but slavery. Did she get it wrong? She suggested it was about states' rights, preventing government interference, intervention into our lives, but never mentioned slavery. Did she get it right? That's what we're going to be talking about. As always, the program is and forever will remain MAGA friendly. You know MAGA are always my preferred guest, and nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. Do invite you to tap the screen, helps out the algorithm, indeed brings in more MAGA. So understand when you're in the box or in the comment section, nobody's going to censor your opinion. Even if it is completely the opposite of mine, you're entitled to free speech, and we will always observe that. Looking in the comment section, bro thinks he's one of them, says Mil G. I don't know who the bro is and what designates as one of them. I don't quite get that. Unless you're suggesting that Vivek Ramaswamy thought he was one of the protesters on January 6th. Looking in the comments, Vaughn says they had pre-printed shirts. Meaning what? We're asking, do you see any type of evidence that would suggest what happened on January 6th was entrapment for those who are now incarcerated, or indeed perpetrated by the U.S. government? Because Vivek Ramaswamy, a presidential candidate, is suggesting that. I understand the box is open. Looking in the comments, let's go Joe. Says Carlos Gordo. How many of you folks believe that what happened on January 6th might actually strengthen support for President Biden. As you said, let's go, Joe. Maybe some folks believe what happened on January 6th is a burden too much to bear. It may lead folks to vote for Biden simply because they are afraid of what happened on January 6th to happen again. Ramaswamy is going to get blackballed too, says Josue. I don't know, because President Trump has suggested pardoning the participants of January 6th, and he hasn't been blackballed. I think he's doing better in the polls than the current commander-in-chief. So what makes you suggest Ramaswamy is going to get blackballed? January 6th can happen any day, any party, says Willie. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. There are historical precedents. I mean, we've had riots, we've had political riots before. I don't disagree with that. But was it perpetrated by the U.S. government? Was January 6th something that took place because of MAGA, Trump supporters, or was it something that the federal government did to set all of those folks up? Looking in the comments, I saw an interesting message I wanted to tackle. Tim, you just need to do some objective digging around and you'll connect the same dots as Vivek. Well, in regards to doing your own homework, doing your own research, very similar to the 2020 election itself, these folks that are making these accusations should provide a little bit more evidence so that the only solution is not having to do all your homework. If you believe that the federal government went so far as to perpetrate what looked like some sort of coup or some sort of insurrection, and it was the federal government's fault, you got to give a better answer and do your own homework, and you'll find out why. We're talking about a presidential candidate running for office saying that the feds did this. Give me some names of the agents that participated. Where is this coming from that the feds were responsible for this? You got to have more evidence than that. Then, yeah, this is what happened. You want to know why? Do your own homework. You got to give more evidence to that. You're running for president, for God's sake. Looking in the comments, or maybe at the box, we'll go straight to it. FSU 1231. Vivek suggesting that 9/11, January 6th was an inside job perpetrated by the feds. What say you, FSU? Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Tim. I think it's insane. We all know that. We all know who benefits. Go ahead.
Well, whether you think it's insane or not, this guy is running for president.
Right? Is he running for president or vice president? I mean, I don't put too much credence in what he says at this point.
Well, but wait a minute. You're saying, is he running for president or vice president? When you think about what he's talking about, does it make a difference if he's the nation's leading, holding a leading office, or if he's in number two? I mean, this is some pretty damning information he said. Would it make a difference if he's president or vice president? To have someone saying that the feds perpetrated a coup?
Right, Tim. My response is, where is the proof?
Yeah.
Where's the proof? I mean, people say random stuff and they just throw stuff around and see what sticks. But again, where's the proof? Trump supposedly won in a landslide. Where's the proof? If he won in a landslide, why is he calling Michigan? Why is he calling Georgia? Vivek, they're putting up these people. Let me just say this. I'll try to reduce it down as far as I can.
Sure.
There are people in jail for decades, multiple decades right now.
Yeah.
If there was proof out there, their lawyers would have found it and presented it. Can we both, as reasonable people, agree on that?
I believe that is a very reasonable rebuttal, that their own attorneys did not present that. In fact, I don't believe the leader of the Proud Boys or the leader of the Oath Keepers, who are doing the majority of the time you're mentioning, I don't think either one of them presented that as a defense. That I think one of them broke down crying and said he was sorry he did it.
Listen, guys. We've gotten to a point where we're dragging January 6th along, and people have these conspiracy theories, but they haven't proven anything. And there has been ample opportunity, ample amount of time. The president is running another campaign. If he had proof, he would have presented it. It's the same with saying that the election was stolen in Georgia. The same election, the same ticket was on the ballot. He won fair and square on that same ticket. but apparently Trump didn't. And I don't understand that. This is a red state. It's been a blood red state for a very long time. They have a Republican governor.
You talking about Governor Kemp? Yeah, you talking about Governor Kemp?
Kemp is governor. The state is run. This is one. The Republican Party likes to talk about the separation of the state and the Fed. They want these states to be annexed. That's what happens during an election. These states are independent entities. They run their elections and they report the results. That's what Georgia did, and in my opinion,
well, let me say this. Where they believe that Governor Kemp of Georgia is bought and paid for, which is why he didn't certify it the way Trump. That's the guy who received the find me 11,000 votes call. They believe he has it in for Trump.
I think it was the state's attorney. I don't think it was him, but he was, of course, he's probably in control. But there was another. But go ahead.
Yeah. I wanted, because I saw this on YouTube. We talked about the fact that their lawyers did not present that the Fed set them up as the defense. On YouTube, Chris says, "Oh, really? You mean you're shocked that their lawyers can't do anything with the refs? In other words, you're playing a game that's rigged, and it shouldn't shock you that they got a bad call." Suggesting that the folks who have been arrested and incarcerated on January 6th would not have gotten a fair shake no matter what they presented in court.
You want me to respond to that? I don't understand what, I mean, so I look at it like this. January 6th, when it happened, I think the president, here's what I believe he made a couple mistakes. When it was happening, he didn't come out and speak to the people. These people that were overtaken, or whether they were violent or not, they're inside the Capitol. Yeah. I think there was an opportunity for him to say, hey, this protest has gone past protests into something else, and this isn't what we want, this isn't what we need. I think he lost an opportunity there. He also came out and said, if given the opportunity, that he would pardon the people that were in prison. I think. Well,
Vivek has stated that if he gets elected on day one, he's going to do it too now.
Right, and I think that those are mistakes. I think if the Republican Party a pillar of that party has been crime and punishment, why isn't there outrage about those crimes? There's people. A lady lost her life.
Yeah. Someone Ashley Babbitt. Yeah.
Life, and people have lost sight of Pence, who I am not a huge fan of, but listen, I will say will go down in history as you want to throw around the word patriot. He could have did some things that day, and this country would have been off the rails right now. I think Pence did his job, given what happened in Georgia. I mean,
in regards to Mike Pence doing his job, let's say, for instance, Mike Pence did what Trump suggested and refused to certify the election because Trump was saying the election was stolen. We know now, looking...
I don't want to cut you off, but I want to throw this out there. Do you know Trump called Michigan and told them not to certify, and the only reason they didn't is because they had already done it?
Wow.
Like, he made that same call to Georgia.
Yeah, they were. I definitely heard about that. Yeah, in fact, he was on the phone with a low-level staffer offering to get them lawyers and everything. I did hear about that.
He was going to pardon he was giving them coverage for them not certifying it too. Like, there were multiple attempts to not certify the election and multiple interference points by our sitting president. And I don't give a lot of credence to the documents, but him interfering with these separate states, I think in hindsight is really, really, really bad. I mean, the phone call being taped, all of that. This isn't, hey, go recount, because they did several recounts. This is, hey, find me these votes. I just think he crossed the line.
It would pressure any low-level staffer to get a call from the president. I mean, I gotta assume that the person who he talked to felt some kind of way having a president tell them that directly.
People are going to say it's not a problem with questioning the election. That's fine to question the election, but calling a state and then getting the whole fake elector scheme, these are lines that are being crossed. And people can.
I don't disagree.
You can justify anything. You can justify anything in the world, but These are clear lines that were crossed, in my opinion. And I think the voting public in these particular states voted one way. I get the elections were close, but a close election doesn't give you credence to go call these states and say, "Hey, I want to
Yeah.
recount."
I gotta say it doesn't. The ethics of it are questionable. But FSU, I do gotta move it on. Appreciate you coming through.
I want to mention one more thing. The thing I really wanted to comment on was Nikki Haley, and I'll be brief and I'll drop. I think this is another thing that I think Republican candidates need to kind of link. They try to kind of ride the fence on a lot of these topics, but when you start talking about the Civil War, and you can't be firm in your stance in this 2023, this is why you won't get liberals, left-leaning, centered people to kind of swing to the right, because you won't even come out and condemn that, and it's been how many years. So I just think that was a missed opportunity from Nikki Haley.
And I think that they got her on it.
I'm going to drop off. I want to leave by asking you a question, because I listened to you.
All right, real quick, go ahead and drop it.
I know you're a big fan of Nikki Haley, so I love for you to answer. I think
all right, go ahead. Give me your question.
But my question is, I picked up on that, liberal, but I want you to tell me, what are your thoughts about her as a candidate and her response to that? I thought that was a missed opportunity for her to kind of.
Okay, I'll respond to it on the other side.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Now, you too. Now, in regards to his question about what do I think about Nikki Haley, I don't think she has a chance with the Republican Party. However, I do see Nikki Haley is more of a traditional Republican. I think it would be just like having George W. Bush in there, or, some of the Republicans of the past. I don't know. Reagan is a little different. I don't know because she's not going to get the support and adoration of Ronald Reagan by any means, but I do believe that Nikki Haley would probably get far more cooperation from folks on the left side of the aisle than Trump ever will. For the simple fact, Nikki Haley's not going to push back the way Trump does. Trump likes to fight. Trump likes to get into arguments. I'll give you a perfect example before I go back to the box. And I do appreciate you folks tapping the screen. Get your boy up to 20,000. You know what we do. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. Whether you agree with me or not, or you want to tear me a new one, we'll let you do it here because we believe in free speech. Trump recently, the director of Home Alone, that 1990s Christmas movie, Macaulay Culkin, come on, you know what I'm talking about. The director of that the movie was filmed in one of Trump's hotels. Trump has a cameo in that. The director came out and stated that when they tried to film the movie in Trump's tower, Trump stated he wouldn't give him permission unless he was in the movie. The director is claiming that Trump bullied his way into the movie. Now, why the hell does this even matter 30 years from now? It's not a dig on Trump or anything. The reason I'm bringing it up is Trump actually tweeted back and said that guy was begging him to be in the movie. The point I'm trying to make is that's something that someone seeking the nation's highest office can, let that brush off your shoulder. The fact that he got on X and responded and suggested that guy is lying and he begged to be in the movie, and he even said that's why the movie is still popular today, because him being in it made it be a hit. So I'm just bringing that up. Nikki Haley is not going to do that kind of stuff. That's why I believe that if Nikki Haley was president, you would get a lot less infighting. Not saying that she would be better or worse than Trump as a commander-in-chief, but I do believe the unity between the parties would be less divided than it is under Trump, because some things she's just going to let roll off of her. Trump is never going to do that. Looking in the box, or better at the comment section, is this important with 12,000 crossing the border daily? Brownsbacker, absolutely not. It's not important. Then why the hell is Trump on X responding to it? I'm with you. It's not important with the issues with the border, the economy, world wars breaking out all over the damn place, or at the least, regional conflicts. No, it's not important. But why is Trump on X responding to it? That's the point I'm trying to make. Looking in the comments, Nikki Haley can't say slavery is the cause of the Civil War. That's what we're talking about. Now, before I go back to the box, we are asking that question. Vivek Ramaswamy, running for the nation's highest office, suggested that what happened on January 6th was an inside job perpetrated by the federal government. The folks who are serving time for January 6th, according to Vivek Ramaswamy, are victims of government entrapment, and he would pardon them on day one. Have you seen any evidence to suggest that what Vivek Ramaswamy is saying, Vivek Ramaswamy, is valid? Let's make it happen. Electric Wolf 45, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. January 6th, an inside job. What say you, Wolf?
Well, I think here's my take. I don't think it was an inside job per se, I guess you say it. I think they did lead some people astray, and they did start try to get them into doing the stuff that they did, but the people were stupid into falling for it.
Okay. Do you believe if the people were,
if I'm not mistaken, before this happened,
if the people were stupid and fell for it, how do you take Vivek saying on day one he would pardon them?
Well, I mean, I guess you'd have to look at what they got in trouble. I mean, because they got overcharged hard. I mean, they overcharged them with all sorts of stuff that was ridiculous. I mean, I think it was they should get trespassing and maybe destruction of federal property, and then go along the guidelines of that. If they've gone over that like crazy, I would pardon them. Because it's kind of crazy. Because I mean, to me, it was like, again, I don't think it was a insurrection. I don't think it was what do you call it? An attack on our democracy and everything else that everybody loses.
Wait.
It was a lot of
hold on,
things.
Vivek, wait a minute. They stole items. They smeared feces on the wall. They were going through the halls of. In fact, they took it over. You see the QAnon shaman, who's now a free man, by the way. He's actually on the floor because everybody's vacated. You only see trespassing in that.
Well, I see trespassing on that too. I mean, the smearing of the feces and the tearing of the paper, that's destruction of federal property or vandalism, things like that. I mean, it's like I said, there's guards in there. You see the guards in there that are letting them in. There's other videos that are showing that they deliberately did it. There's video of FBI agents dressed as Trump supporters. I mean, come on, there's a lot of evidence there, but no one wants to see it. No one wants to, especially on the left, no one wants to admit it. That's okay. You don't have to, because it's typical. Liberals don't close their eyes to see what they've done. And the thing is, it's like, oh, well, the government did it. They're always anti-government. They're always, the government's trying to get us, unless it's on the Republican.
But where is hold on. Wait, Wolf,
no problem with it.
Wolf, where is the actual evidence that federal agents were in the crowd? Give me the name of some agents that was in the crowd, or at least give me their pictures. Give me something to back that claim up.
I mean, no, there's video. You have to see the videos. There's videos out there. Look at the videos where these guys are coming off, and one guy gets arrested. They push him off, and then they let him go as soon as they get out in the clear. Okay. Stuff like that. I mean, they were involved.
Wait a minute, though. Hang on.
They asked the FBI agent.
This is what I'm asking you. Let's go with what. Hang on. We got some kind of. We got some kind of delay. That's the problem. But let me ask you this: if you're saying they grabbed somebody and then they later let them go, meaning they were lenient, how does that make the person an FBI agent? Did you see a badge? Were they wearing? What is your evidence that the individual they let go works for the FBI?
Why would you give him a fist bump?
Maybe it was his brother or something. Maybe hold on. Maybe Maybe there was a
they were still inside the Capitol.
But you're not. Maybe it was somebody they knew. Maybe they had another illegal reason to let him go. But where is the evidence that that person was part of the FBI?
Well, we're going to have to wait and let that other stuff come out, because apparently they're working on that too. Because again, they asked Christopher Wray, how many FBI agents did you have in there? They said, "Oh, I can't tell you." So obviously, there were FBI agents dressed as Trump supporters, and they asked them directly.
Well, but you're making a lot of assumptions. If you ask me, did you steal something from Walmart? Well, I'm not going to confirm or deny that. You can't just automatically jump to I'm a thief. Just because the FBI didn't confirm anything, you can't start, you're filling in the blanks. What you're doing is making assumptions. Well, if they don't tell me this, that means they had to do that. That's not evidence.
That's pretty much evidence. I mean, why would they not say no?
You're telling me the FBI has to answer every question you ask, otherwise you're going to fill in the blanks with something negative.
Okay, if I ask an FBI director, how many FBI agents have robbed a bank this year?
Okay.
And they turn around and say, none. Okay, then obviously there have been none that robbed a bank. Now, if you turn around and say, how many FBI agents this year have been involved in bank robberies? And they say, well, we can't really tell you. What does that tell you?
Doesn't tell you. It tells you they're not going to tell you. It doesn't tell you anything. If you were to ask the CIA or if you ask the U.S. military, have you developed the railgun yet? They would tell you, likely, we can't confirm or deny that. That doesn't mean they have the gun. You can't, you're making assumptions based on blanks. You don't know that. You're making assumptions.
Well, I'll tell you what. I see where you're coming from because you have a great devil's advocate for a liberal. Because I like you more as a Republican than a devil's advocate. But yeah, no, again, I'm going to go ahead and tell you again, these are the times where I want to strangle you, where I know you know what I'm saying, but that's okay. I mean, I don't think that, I think I'm right 100% on this.
Okay.
And the thing is, there's video out there of people dressed as them.
There's video of people dressed as what?
Trump supporters. As Trump supporters.
Who were the people that were dressed as Trump supporters?
As a matter of fact, the what?
Who were the people that were dressed as Trump supporters? Who are they normally?
Okay, here I go. Okay, I don't know if it was FBI, CIA, Capitol Police, undercover cop. That I don't know, but I know that they weren't Trump supporters. How's that?
How do you know they're not Trump supporters?
Because they were sitting there talking to law enforcement, telling them while they're getting dressed.
Wolf, you do realize half of law enforcement vote Republican and support Trump, right?
Well, yeah, but you know that a lot of the FBI went after Trump for no reason whatsoever, right?
Okay, and the other half don't like him. There's a lot of law enforcement that hate Trump and a lot that love Trump. The fact that somebody was talking to law enforcement before the fact that somebody is talking to law enforcement before putting on Trump attire, that doesn't say anything.
They're in the Capitol, Hanson. What would they be not dressed as Trump supporters at the time? What they said, okay, come on into the Capitol and get dressed here. Come on.
Well, let me just put it this way. I'm not here to deny that you're pointing out things that may, be questionable or something like that. Where you and I have a difference is you're automatically assuming that because this doesn't look right, it had to be this without any evidence of that. Just because something doesn't look right doesn't give you the right to jump over and start filling in the blanks with what you want it to be.
And I understand where you're coming from, but the thing you have to see it on this side is because of the fact that all the shit they did to Donald Trump throughout his presidency of setting him up and trying to say that he peed on a bed and then releasing a report. Obama knew about what Hillary Clinton's campaign was going to do about releasing that report. All that shit, they were all in it together. They all knew about it. And And the thing is, you guys still say, "Oh, but that doesn't mean the FBI was against him." Come on. I mean, I understand where the thing is Trump disrupted Republicans and Democrats together. He broke their parties. He broke their little party that they had going for each other, where they were fucking people left and right on both sides. Trump turns around and says, "Hey, let's try working for the people." The bad part is even the people got pissed off. They're like, "Oh, this son of a bitch won. We didn't get our glass ceiling broken. They hate all women because they didn't let a woman win." I mean, come on. I mean, you go to such a stretch to make this guy like the absolute devil. Not you, but most liberals make him out to be this absolute devil when he took a lot of the shit that their platforms and helped them.
All right.
And was willing to work with them. The only thing is he got a bunch of pushback from Democrats.
All right, I do gotta move it on because we got a signal issue, but I want to push back and I'll give you the last word. I do want to say this: when you're saying the liberals went after Trump, you do realize half of his administration are all over TV saying bad things about him, from Mike Pence on down. Ambassador Bolton, what is the guy? Attorney General Barr. Half of the people he hires, Scaramucci, Omarosa, you name it. You think they're all liberals now?
Well, I think a couple of them are, but I think a lot of them are just they had their 15 minutes they wanted their 15 minutes of fame, and I think they got it because they're like, the best thing I can do was either side with Trump or go against him. How am I going to write a better book, against Trump or for Trump? And
what is your evidence
against Trump, which I understand?
What is you said you think some of them are liberals now. Once again, I'm gonna bring that evidence word up. Give me some members of Trump's administration that are liberals now. Give me some evidence you have of that.
Well, I mean, the ones that were liberals were Ivanka and Jared. Those are big liberals, but they didn't turn on Trump and stuff like that because obviously they're family, and they worked on the peace accords.
Okay.
But the thing is, Omarosa went on all the liberal places. "Oh, I can't believe he treated me like this," but you were with him for 20-something years. Scaramucci, same thing. He's dangerous. He's this. And if I'm not mistaken, Scaramucci was a Democrat before.
All right. I appreciate Wolf. I do we got a signal mismatch, but
real quick on the Nikki Haley thing.
Go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Wrap it up.
On Nikki Haley, I think what everybody's afraid of is saying that it was we were fighting against slavery. I don't see what the big problem is. That's what we were fighting for. Were they fighting for states' rights and all that? Yeah. But the main thing that caused the Civil War was for the Whigs and the abolitionists to get together and create the Republican Party just to fight slavery. That's what they were fighting for. That was a main concern.
No
Everything
argument.
else was secondary.
No argument with that ending. Appreciate you coming on, Wolf. Always a pleasure, but our signal was bad. Anytime, Wolf, you're always welcome in here. Looking in the comments, and before I move on, I will say what I was saying before. Just like with the 2020 election, whether it's ballot stuffing, whether you believe folks who were deceased voted, regardless of what you believe took place during the 2020 election, my only pushback is suspicious activity does not open the door to fill in the blanks definitively with what you may think may or may not happen. If I show up to the same mailbox and put ballots in it 4 or 5 different times, I look suspicious as hell. But you can't automatically assume I'm doing it for the Democratic Party. That's where I have the issue with folks like Vivek making his statement. But I want you folks to feel free to correct me. I am certainly reading the comments. Is this a pro-Trump channel? Says Dennis. This is not a pro-political channel of any side. I don't hate Trump. I don't love liberals. We take it on both sides. And we certainly, absolutely will never tell you how you should think, because we're here to hear what you have to say. That is the only way this channel has always been ran. Looking in the comments, the video that he was talking about was after the fact. They had already took over the building and the agents were outnumbered. So that was towards the end and they just started letting them in. So for you folks that are tuned in, remember the video that McCarthy gave to Tucker Carlson has been released everywhere. One of the viewers on YouTube, we're running a simulcast on YouTube, is suggesting that a lot of that happened after the building was already overran. What say you? Going up back to the box. We the people said, what's up, brother? Keep up the good work. Appreciate the accolade. Show your boy some love. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 40,000. We got almost 750 of you in here. Show your boy some love. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Helps out the algorithm. Brings in more MAGA, the preferred guest of the show. Warrior for Trump. I know I almost sound like the 1979 film when I said that. The Warriors did it. Warrior for Trump. Really good film for you folks that may not be old enough to remember that. 1979, The Warriors. Warrior for Trump. Good afternoon. Whoa, appreciate that hat, Sonny boy. Thank you. Warrior for Trump. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Apparently,
you hear me?
yeah, I can, but I think we're gonna have a problem with the signal.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
No, I'm getting better here. I just had to.
All right, well, let's try to see if we can make it happen. Vivek Ramaswamy suggests that January 6th was an inside job perpetrated by the federal government. What say you?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of facts to that. I mean, Stu Peters on his show, he pretty much went in depth on that, and he pretty much proved that, like, at a minimum, that they turned it into a honeypot where they let the people inside. And they pretty much charged them all with 25-year conspiracy, and now these people are sitting in jail longer than a lot of these people who just kill people.
What is the evidence that it was an inside job? I know you're talking about the video showing police letting them in. There is no doubt that video exists, but that is Capitol police officers doing that. Vivek is saying the federal government is responsible for what happened. Where is the evidence of that? Okay, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to move it on. We obviously got a really bad signal there. I did want to hear what he had to say. Like I said, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone, but if the signal was bad, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do. You're always welcome back there. Warrior for Trump. Looking in the comments, they don't have it, says Pat Owens. That's all I'm asking for, folks. It's not unreasonable to suggest if you make a statement that sounds controversial, maybe some would say conspiratorial, provide the evidence. It's not a conspiracy if you got solid evidence. I'm willing to go with anything if you can provide solid evidence, but you gotta take out the assumptions. When you start assuming things, that's not evidence. And I'm hearing a lot of assuming here. Give me something where there is solid evidence. Trump was the federal government at the time, says Andy. That is what I refer to as solid evidence. If the federal government, that's kind of funny, it's hard not to laugh at that, but if the federal government perpetrated January 6th, who was in charge of the federal government on January 6th? Is it wrong to ask that question? Is it wrong to ask that question? Let's continue moving the program on with Javon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. I don't know if the box is having problems, but we'll keep it, but we'll see. Do you believe Trump is Jesus resurrected? One word.
No, absolutely.
Jesus. Good afternoon, Javon. So what do you think? You think it's an inside job?
So with this and a lot of conspiracy theories like this, my point always come back to like people who say that 9/11 was an inside job or that the moon landing was fake. Would we not see a whistleblower? Because like, for example, like NASA, hundreds of thousands of people had to work on this project. Like these big events, if they were to be orchestrated, so many people would have to work on these projects. And we've seen how ineffective NDAs are in America. They stop absolutely nobody from spilling their business.
Yeah, Stormy Daniels is a perfect example of that.
Exactly. If somebody really wanted to come out and expose this, there would have been several whistleblowers by now. And I know there's been quote unquote whistleblowers, but nobody in a significant position has come in and blown the whistle.
Well, in the comments, We the People says there have been many whistleblowers on January 6th. I'm not aware of any of them, at least none of them that were testifying in court. I'm not aware of any whistleblowers.
Exactly. Nobody that's testifying in court, nobody that holds a substantial part. Just because your uncle from Arkansas says that he knows it's an inside job does not mean that he's a whistleblower.
Somebody put Stanley Kubrick. Is Stanley Kubrick? Does that ring a bell?
What authority in the government does Stanley Kubrick have?
Well, you're going to hear most likely, if you're getting whistleblowers, it's probably not going to be a government official. It's going to be MAGA in that crowd saying that they saw something suspicious like some of the viewers are now. But I agree with you. It's not likely to be somebody with a federal agent badge saying this is wrong. Look, I'm speaking up. My government did this. I don't see it.
Yeah, if there would be at least one person in the FBI or the CIA coming forward saying, hey, I know this is an inside job. I mean, we've seen the FBI and CIA come forward before. Yeah. It's not unlikely. And I think the fact that we are not ever able to see like a real concrete like testimony from a person saying like, yes, I was there with Trump on this day. He told me this proves it's an inside job. We have nobody saying anything like that. We have nobody that can testify they were directly in a meeting of some sort that confirmed that it's an inside job.
Well, you know the crazy thing is when we're suggesting whistleblowers and folks coming out and saying it was an inside job, you know where all the whistleblowers are? They're on the Trump administration. We tried to call him for 4 hours. He didn't answer the phone. You got folks in a limousine saying that he wanted to go to the Capitol building and they tried to stop him. And he was like, they're here for me. I mean, the whistleblowers do exist. They're just blowing the whistle against Trump.
Exactly. And I see people in the comments saying, look at how many times police keep their mouths shut to protect somebody. But again, if it's on this large of a scale, there's going to be, yes, people that keep their mouths shut, but you're always going to find evidence. Yeah. That just happens. I mean, Trump, what was it, like 2017, he was trying to figure out who was leaking stuff from his meetings on the inside. Yeah. There's always a leak somewhere.
Well, I'm not here to disagree with that comment, though. The blue wall of silence is real. Police do keep their mouths shut. However, as I've said before you and I started talking, just because something looks suspicious doesn't mean you get to make the leap by filling in the blanks with assumptions. Okay, they kept their mouth shut. But that is not evidence that something happened. That part has to be assumed.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. I don't think you and I disagree on much. Real quick, the Nikki Haley comment. The Civil War was about states' rights, not bringing up slavery at all. Do you think she dropped the ball on that?
No, I mean, I've had this argument with people for years. People been like back when I was in school, other kids in my class having this argument. I mean, states' rights to do what? It always comes back to that question for me. States.
They were arguing against you an issue about this in school?
Oh yeah, I'm like the only African American in a very small conservative town.
In
like
school,
we got a population of about 200 people.
Wow.
Me and one other African American that went to school.
Where was the teacher at doing this argument?
Well, it was current events was the class, so she was just letting it go.
Oh my God.
She just gave us the floor.
Wow, I guess they didn't have the phrase, if you see something, say something back then, because the teacher, I don't even know where to go with that. Wow, that's amazing. That kind of reminds me of...
abortion debate in our class.
You said what?
She even started an abortion debate in our class.
And I'm assuming she was pro-life.
Yeah, she was pro-life.
You know, the crazy thing is we often hear about how bad liberal teachers are in school and how they try to push their narrative on people. And you're making it clear it happens in the other direction as well.
Yeah, I think it happens both ways. I think, people just try to push their opinions on other people, regardless of the side of the aisle you're on. It just happens.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. All right, I do got to move it on then, Javon. I'm going to ask that you drop, because for some reason it didn't put you up. So go ahead and drop down. Hey, come on back anytime, though, man. Appreciate it. All right, looking in the comments, we had one too. Our teacher was pro-choice. They had another that was pro-life, and they were friends. Well, it shouldn't come up in class. Neither one of y'all are in a family way about to decide whether to have your kid or not. Why is this even coming up to the students? What should happen is, if a student wants to know the procedure, or you're talking about it in health class or sex ed, you can discuss what happens. But in terms of trying to push pro-choice ideas or pro-life ideas on a student, that shouldn't be. You just give them the mechanics of what happens if you want to do that. But you're trying to sway the child to your side of thinking. Yeah, I do believe that's inappropriate. Now, you said Grimace Shake said it was a debate class. Okay, fair enough. It's a debate class. I can't argue with that. Then if you guys are debating pro-choice versus pro-life, then yeah. I bet you 99% of teachers are neutral in the debate. Yeah, that's an error on yours truly. If it's a debate class, then yeah, it can be brought up. I didn't pay attention to that. That's my fault. Teachers are too busy teaching the Common Core and should not discuss politics. Well, the problem is this, though. Sometimes students will ask. Being African American myself, I went to a school that was predominantly African American when I was a elementary school student. My high school was mixed, but my elementary school in Chicago was mostly black. And I was in 6th grade. This will tell you my age, but I was in 6th grade when Jesse Jackson Jr. was running for president, and we had a white male teacher. My 6th grade teacher was a white male, and some of the students asked him, was you going to vote for Jesse Jackson? And I do remember him responding and saying, there are some black people that ain't even going to vote for him. So that was our answer, but we did ask him. He didn't volunteer his politics. We asked him who he was going to vote for. So that does happen. Jesse going to weird says Black Market remixes. Jesse Jackson Jr.'s time has passed. In class, we debated the Trayvon Martin murder. I was pro Zimmerman, obviously. Grimace Shake. You can be pro Trayvon or pro George Zimmerman. Why you say obviously? Why would you obviously be pro George Zimmerman? I'd be curious to know that. Going back to the box, we'll make it happen with Andy. Did I click on that? I think I may have messed up here. Pelosi was not in charge of the Coast Guard. Who suggested that Nancy Pelosi was in charge of the Coast Guard? Some people were saying she was in charge of the National Guard on January 6th. I've heard otherwise. In fact, I've heard military personnel that were operating at the branch of the National Guard in that area denied that she was in charge. But regardless of who was in charge of the National Guard, the event on January 6th was a MAGA event. Trump called these folks there. Even if someone else is in charge of providing security, it's your job to make sure that's going to happen. Before the party kick off, make sure the DJ is there. You don't throw the party and then blame the other person for not having a DJ there. If you threw the party, you make sure those events are taking place. So the idea that Nancy Pelosi did not do her job, and so we just did it anyway and it went amok, then you hold some responsibility for that. Where is the evidence that show you were constantly calling Nancy Pelosi, asking her, where the hell are these people at? If that's her job. And I would also add this before I go back to the box. If there is anyone that is a direct political rival of President Trump, it's Nancy Pelosi. He has said a host of negative things about Nancy Pelosi, and Nancy Pelosi has said a hell of a lot of negative things about Trump. If that is the person responsible for providing security at your event, you damn sure better check on it. That is probably the biggest political rival you can have. The fact that she may slip up and not provide security should be on your mind the moment you throw the event and find out she's in charge. Not following through is inexcusable, period. Even if it was her job 100%. Not following through and checking to make sure your greatest political rival didn't throw you under the bus is Trump dropping the ball. There's no way he should get a pass for that if it was her job. You know this woman is not a fan of yours and may do this. That shouldn't be something that is surprising if it was her job. Going back to the box, I don't know what's going on with my box here. I'm trying to bring you folks. I do appreciate you guys tapping the screen. 700 plus of you in here. Yeah, TikTok must be doing something with the box. Again, it shows his weakness, says user. I'm just simply suggesting that if it was Nancy Pelosi's job and he didn't check and make sure she did her job, that's a problem. You should have been calling the National Guard the night before or even a week before and ensuring the order from Nancy Pelosi to be there on January 6th has been put in. There's no excuse for not doing that. There is zero excuse for that. There's no way not having the National Guard there leaves Trump absolved of any fault, any blame at all. That makes no sense at all. Bottom line is Trump called them all there. Then show the evidence. Show the evidence that you called for the National Guard to be there. But I would also bring this up. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but we got some kind of problem
I
going
know,
on.
I don't see myself in the box.
Yeah, well,
But as long as you can hear me, I just wanted to go back really quickly to what you were saying about Haley, Nikki Haley, and what she said about
Okay.
the chief cause of the Civil War was states' rights. And I'm a Democrat and very liberal. But people have to stop and ask themselves, wait a minute. Number one, they can Google that. Number two, slavery was an issue. The abolitionists and there was also the conscription act.
wait. You're saying that the Civil War broke. And by the way, for you folks who got a dark screen, just stand by. Once me and her conversation separates, it will come back. This happened yesterday. But if you guys can hear us,
I'm saying that the actual cause or the start was, number one, the secession of South Carolina. The actual cause was over states' rights. However, slavery was an issue and part of a cause, but not the cause.
states' rights. But wait a minute. What? If it was over? Hang on. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me respond to some of this. Let me respond. Your states' rights to do what? What right was they losing that they were mad about?
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember, but let me tell you how I know. When I had to study, I taught for 30 years, okay? And I majored in history, but not in American history. It was in world studies history. But when I took the national teacher's exam, I missed that question because slavery was listed as a choice.
You do realize how big that...
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. So I went back to the creators of that exam, and then they sent me the factual information. This is like 30 plus years ago. I don't teach anymore. And I looked into it further, and then because I was like, I need to really update myself. I don't know enough
But you
about
can't
it.
answer that. You out of all of the stuff, the biggest question
I
is...
know it had to do with Virginia.
But wait a minute, no. But you understand the minute you say it was about states' rights and not slavery, the number one question is
I'm not
states'
saying
rights
that.
to
I'm
do
saying
what?
The chief cause. Slavery was a second. It wasn't the main issue. 'Cause
What was
why
the
did
main
Lincoln
issue?
But wait, when did Lincoln free the slaves? If it was about slavery and only slavery, why didn't he do the Emancipation Proclamation in 1860?
What was the...
Why did he wait? Why did he wait all the way towards the end of the Civil War to do the Emancipation
Yeah,
Proclamation?
but that doesn't answer what I'm asking you. What was the... If you're saying it's about states' rights,
States' rights.
states' rights to do what?
Their rights they wanted to secede from the Union because they felt like their states' rights were being violated by the federal government.
What rights were being violated?
I can be honest with you and tell you I don't remember, but I do remember that is the main cause. But I'm not saying that slavery was right, but if Abe Lincoln was so much going, okay, we're going to go to war to free the slaves, then why didn't he do it?
Okay.
As the president of the Union, he could have just said, Emancipation Proclamation, but he waited.
Yeah, everything you're saying needs to be answered. Abraham Lincoln was offering that if those folks fought for the Union, they would be free. They did offer to free the slaves. That's exactly what was going on.
But what was that? Was that his chief reason for the Civil War? And I think that slavery was an issue, but it was not the reason that the state started to secede, which caused the Civil War. South Carolina's secession was first, and then so on. But the way that history taught it to me, and maybe history was wrong, was it was states' rights. Slavery was an issue. kind of like we have.
I'm gonna tell you.
People are fighting, but
Yeah, I'll tell you
this is
flat
a
out.
secondary-
Yeah, I'll tell you flat out. It was states' rights to own slaves, and I'll give you an example for it. So when you look at the South, most will suggest that the most prominent slave states in the South are still hurting economically because of the loss of all that free labor.
The agriculture, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they were fighting for, is their bread and butter, free labor. That's
I just think people need to double check, and especially, and this is where I was kind of upset with Abraham Lincoln in history, because I'm like, dude, why did you do this but not immediately free the slaves upon the declaration of a war? Why did he wait?
Well, you understand that once the war broke out between the North and the South, the slaves were already free in the areas that Lincoln controlled. The other area, they are at war. They're not letting these people go. So he couldn't free them. Even if he did everything you're saying, you can't free
He
them.
still did the Emancipation Proclamation while we were still at war, but it was like 3.5 years later.
Yeah,
Like, why?
But you do realize that even the holiday Juneteenth, slaves in Texas were not free for 2 years later because it took that long for the message to get down there. Even if Lincoln had freed the slaves, do you feel confident that the people in the South would have told them that the president, our enemy, has freed you now?
Yeah, but he freed them anyway while we were still at war. And by the way, this is the thing: no war is civil. So, but that's just a whatever. But I just wanted to say that's what I was taught. That it was the main.
Where'd you go to school? What state you go to school in?
I got my degree first in North Carolina, and then on to the University of Virginia. I got my master's.
Slave
And
state.
Virginia is, and the thing is, my memory is short.
You were taught history.
Yeah.
You were taught history in slave states. It doesn't surprise me.
I know, right? But that's what I was taught. But I do know that the main cause, we have secession of South Carolina, was over states' rights. It wasn't about, okay, we're going to go to war for slavery is what I'm trying to say. And I think the argument to that I always question, okay, so if we did that, then why didn't he say, okay, we are going to war for slavery? He could still have passed the Emancipation Proclamation earlier, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't. He didn't.
Yeah.
He did that for the abolitionists who were pushing for it, because abolitionism was a movement to free the slaves.
Right.
So that was the only point that I was trying to make.
Fair
And
enough.
how
I
he
think
fought.
you and I, obviously you and I disagree completely on this, but that's not an issue.
It's okay.
You're always
It's
welcome
okay.
back. I do appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna ask you, go ahead and drop yours, because like I said, we got a screen issue,
Okay,
and we'll see.
I will try to get out. It's really weird. I'm just looking at my face, which.
Okay, let's see if it does
You have
that.
a wonderful new year. Thank you.
Absolutely, President. You folks, let me know if the screen comes back. Otherwise, I may have to reset the whole live. Looking in the comments, how many kids received their education from her? Yikes! This is Nikki Haley for sure. Oh my God! And somebody else said, "Was that Nikki Haley?" Southern education frames it the way you are telling it. Yeah, that's bad. And I do see folks say, you can see me again, so that's fair enough. I appreciate you folks tapping the screen. Get your boy likes. So we probably need to get up to about 60,000. It definitely made the numbers go down because TikTok sends new people to the channel, and if it's completely black, folks are like, what the hell's going on? Yeah, slavery was not about, the Civil War was not about slavery, it was about states' rights. Okay, you hear that often, but I will say that if you don't think it's about slavery, you think it's about states' rights, you should have an instant answer for that, because that's going to be the number one question. They decided to go to war because they were losing states' rights. States' rights to do what? That is worthy of going to war about. What states' rights were they losing that they were so pissed off that they wanted to go to war over it? That question is going to come up to anyone that says what she said. So I'm just simply stating that if you have that belief, you should certainly be able to answer that question right off the bat, because that is the number one follow-up question if you suggest it was only about states' rights and not slavery. Now, as I was telling the last caller, and we'll continue moving on, and I see almost everybody in the comments was saying it was about slavery to own people, things like, I think I saw one or two people say taxation, but overwhelmingly the comment section was against what the last caller was saying. But I will say, like I pointed out, that many of the former slave states are now dirt poor. Dirt poor. Most of the southern states are quite poor, with the exception of maybe Texas and Florida. Obviously, Texas got a ton of oil down there, but you start talking Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, those states are very poor. Kentucky's one of the poorest states in the union. And the idea that you got literally an infinite amount of free labor, making all of the elite members of your state are incredibly wealthy because they got free labor. And here comes Lincoln about to take away free labor. That's a reason to go to war. That is absolutely a reason to go to war, where you're going to literally take away huge amounts of profit for all of the elite, because only 1% of whites owned slaves back then. That's because it was that expensive to maintain slaves. So this is all of the elite members of society, all about to lose huge amounts of wealth simultaneously. That's a reason to go to war, period. States' rights, okay, states' rights to do what? To prevent you from taking away all of our wealth. I don't know any other issue that would be serious enough to fill in the blanks beyond that. That's about money is a huge reason to fight. That's about as big as a reason I can come up with. But looking in the comments, we will continue back on. It was not because of war. Pick up a book, says JJ. It was not because of the war. I don't quite get your response. I'm assuming you're saying slavery was not why the Civil War. I don't quite get what you're saying, but you're saying pick up a book. I will tell you folks this, for the folks who often suggest do your homework, pick up a book, things like that. A lot of the material is also slanted. You can pick up the wrong damn book. I will tell you that. You can absolutely pick up the wrong book. Remember, a lot of folks right now are censoring books in schools because they believe those books are wrong, teaching kids the wrong things and things like that. So yelling out pick up a book doesn't say shit, because the book may be, let's just imagine my last guest wrote a book. Now imagine if she wrote a book, and you know what would be in it. Looking in the comments, or maybe you're going back to the box. Mississippi is poor. Yeah, Mississippi is poor. Kentucky is extremely poor. In fact, 8 of the most poorest counties are in Kentucky. West Virginia is a dirt poor state. A large portion of Alabama is very poor. Louisiana is very poor. Yeah, all of that shit down there, with the exception of a few places, are very, very poor. Going back to the box, we'll keep it moving. I don't know what's going on, but we'll see if it works this time. The books were written, the Daughters of the Confederacy, and the Daughters of the Confederacy were not writing factual content. Some folks are saying that, what is it, the Mother or Ladies of Liberty or something? They're starting to compare them to those folks. Or PragerU in modern times. PragerU is also very skewed education. Pinche Bato Loco. This should be interesting. January 6th, an inside job. I already know where you're going with it, but let me know how. January 6th, an inside job. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
It was a planned deal.
Planned. What's the evidence?
It's all part of creating the distraction, man.
What was the goal of the distraction? Distract you from what?
So they've always their MO has always been create the problem, then create the solution, and come out looking like the golden child in the end.
So you said they. Who constitutes as they? Who define they? Who are these people?
It's the people who are they're not voted for. They are unelected leaders who are actually calling the shots after the leaders are elected.
So
it's something that a lot of people have a hard time swallowing, but it's true. And it was something that even John F. Kennedy had said many times.
Okay, wait. Let me interrupt. So you're saying that when the president is in the White House, there's somebody else higher that is behind him calling the shots.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
I'll give you an example. If you remember when Donald Trump became president, the very next day after his inauguration, he had a surprise visit in the Oval Office. Now, you can't tell me that it's possible for anybody to just show up in the Oval Office without the president's knowledge. But that's what happened.
How do you know that? How do you know he had a surprise visit that wasn't authorized?
CNN reported on it that day, and they made a mistake reporting on it because that was the last time you ever heard about it, but it was Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett showed up at the White House in the Oval Office, and it was a surprise visit that Donald Trump had. And what that was the day after his inauguration, Donald Trump, of course, came in unexpectedly. Nobody was ever expecting him to win. And he,
Now, Pinche, wait a minute, just for the audience, just to get clarity with the audience. Now, you support Trump, right?
Actually, I'm an anarchist, but believe it or not, I don't support a form of government that way because of the fact that it's so open to corruption.
Did you vote for Trump?
No, I didn't.
Neither time.
Neither time, nope.
Do you vote at all?
I voted one time in my life.
For who?
Gary Johnson.
Okay, all right. So you definitely okay. All right. So at the end of the day, you believe somebody is behind Trump controlling the strings. So is
I
it?
think there's been plenty of presidents who have admitted that. Again, John F. Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, even Woodrow Wilson. You can go as far back as you want, and it's going to all end up going back to the 1800s, 1870s. That's where it all started, and it started with our first bankruptcy. The bankers that bought us out of bankruptcy were corrupted, and they came in, and of course, if you control the money, you control the country. No matter what country you're talking about, no matter where you're talking about, it's the truth. You control the money.
So is it safe to assume, because you are for you don't trust Trump, Biden, you don't think either one of these folks should lead?
No, because they all have dual citizenship with Israel, and that's because they're all Zion.
Where's the evidence of this?
You have to go into there's something called the Jewish Peril. The Jewish Peril, if you read the Jewish Peril, you'll see that it's in there. It covers it completely. And you'll see that in the Jewish Peril, we are exactly in line with where they wanted us to be. And I know it sounds crazy. I know it takes a lot to put your head around.
Yeah.
But believe me, I may call myself the crazy guy on TikTok, but I've done so much studying on this that it would be unbelievable to some people to comprehend.
Well, I have to always go down your resume, because you and I have talked plenty of times, and you believe that both Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden have been put to death. You believe Hillary Clinton lost her life at the behest of Trump. You believe that Trump wrote a second Declaration of Independence before leaving office. Am I correct?
Well, there's plenty of evidence to show that as well. Yes, there's tribunals that have been happening since 2017, 2018, and those tribunals were based on the human trafficking ring that was being run by our government.
And I have to ask this question. If Hillary Clinton is no longer with us and Trump himself personally had her taken out, why does he still talk about her at every rally as if she's still alive?
Well, there's not just Hillary Clinton that you have to ask that about. There's plenty of others out there that are doing the same thing, and it's a matter of maintaining the status quo and controlling civil uprising. The last thing you want in this situation is for it to have the ultimate, effect on the public, which would be a civil war, a massive civil war.
So you see Trump, as opposed to draining the swamp, if what you're saying is true, then you see Trump as a swamp creature himself.
Well, he's one and the same in a sense where he did drain the swamp, but in a sense that it's never drained completely.
Wait, you said he did. Give me some examples of how he drained the swamp. Give me some names. Who did he drain?
Oh, there's a lot of them. How many times did he?
Give me some. Give me some names. Give me some names we know, swamp creatures that Trump drained.
Well, Pence is one of them. The what's his name? Michael Cohen's another one.
Pence was in office as long as Trump. How did Pence get drained? He served with Trump to the last day Trump was in office.
You have to see. There's so much things you have to see to understand what I'm saying. It takes more time than just a quick interview like this, man. And
just to give me a name? I'm just asking for names.
Well, I mean, I'm giving you name. Mike Cohen's another one. That's another one. The guy, what was this guy's name? I'm terrible with names. There's so many, Tim. You just brought up one that we were talking about the other day. What's his name? Start with the S. Shit. I forget the name. I forget the guy's name. There's plenty of them, though, man. There's a ton of them.
This shouldn't be. You should be flipping out names right off the bat. It shouldn't be this hard. Give me some names. I'm just trying to get a name out of you, man.
I mean, what your names are you looking for, Tim? I mean,
I'm looking for folks that were harmful to this. Hold on. I'm looking for folks that were harmful to this country. They were treasonous traitors, and Trump got rid of them. That's what I'm looking for. People. Biden is okay. All right. Well, if you believe Biden is deceased, then okay. I guess you're
Tell
right.
me this. On the day that Biden got inaugurated, how many people watched him get inaugurated? At what time was his inauguration? Remember, our government has a ceremony that has to be put on for that to be officialized. How many of us saw that? Nobody. Nobody saw that. Why? Because it happened during COVID. When COVID happened, it was when his inauguration happened, and that happened at a private ceremony that happened outside of the Capitol. And how many people were there? Not very many.
So what you're saying is that you're saying that technically, or better yet, due to loss of life, Biden never was officially inaugurated.
Absolutely. The guy who's playing Biden is Arthur Roberts, and you can look him up, and you go to Google and search Arthur Roberts, look at images, and you'll see in Google Images that he comes up as Biden.
Arthur Roberts. For you folks that are in front of a computer, I invite you to look that. Every time we talk, Pinche, we definitely uncovered new information. I've never heard of any of this. What is his name? Arthur Roberts?
Arthur Roberts. Please look up Arthur Roberts. Go on Google, and Google, of course, is your answer for everything, right? Well, Google it, Arthur Roberts, and then go to images and scroll down, and you will see images pop up of Biden, and you'll see the reports where it says he is the actor who's been playing Biden publicly since this date. And I mean, I can't argue with something that's that plain and simple, bro. I mean, it's right there. He's an old C-level actor from the 80s who happens to be an old man that looks just like Biden, and he's been playing Biden ever since.
And he's just walking, he just out there walking and falling down places, playing the role really good, huh?
And he's going to have, and in the end, you're going to see the final result for him makes perfect sense as to what I'm saying and how it comes together.
All right. And I got to move it on, but I will say this. The program's running on YouTube. You actually have a huge fan on YouTube that is saying you're spot on, you're correct, and things like that. All praises to ya on YouTube is saying that you're absolutely correct. Pinche, I do got to move it on.
Just tell that guy I love him.
All right, man. Appreciate it. I bet you. All right, appreciate that. I bet he does love him. It's like finding another gay guy in the middle of rural Alabama. It ain't many of them out there. So I do agree that you should have something. You should certainly adore that other guy. Look it in the comments, bruh. He bugging. They have Trump guy who does it. I don't know. If Biden is deceased, who are we blaming for border and inflation? That's a great question, Mike Bays. Yeah, if Biden is not around, why is people like him and Hillary Clinton getting blamed for everything? I don't have an answer to that. But I will keep the program moving. I do see Andy has been holding on. Obama hates what? I see somebody says Obama hates A. Andy, good afternoon.
Hello.
I don't know what's going on with the box. I'm assuming I don't went black again. I can hear you, but the screen is not there. What do you think of my last caller?
That's a lot.
Let's go back to the actual topic then. January 6th being in...
I would like to say one thing on the last topic. Trump brought Michael Cohen with him.
Yeah.
And Steve Bannon and the rest of the other swamp creatures that got taken out that day. So I'm just want to put that out there.
Yeah. Let me interrupt and say, for you folks that are watching, for some reason TikTok is having problems. So we have a black screen, I believe it is now. The moment me and this caller drop, I will appear again like David Copperfield. So understand, just the program will continue. So January 6th being an inside job by the feds, perpetrated by the feds. Vivek Ramaswamy is saying that. How do you feel about a presidential candidate, a second one now? I don't know if Trump said it was an inside job, but Vivek is certainly saying that, and also offering to pardon folks on day one.
He should be sued, and he knows nothing about government. He's actually a joke. I wouldn't vote for him on any day.
Well, he has a lot of MAGA support. I think he is the number 2 behind Trump.
Yeah. You can say that, but so did Trump, and a lot of MAGA supporters haven't voted before and aren't political, and they don't know a lot about policy or legislation or any of that.
Yeah. Somebody got in the comments, the U.S. Supreme Court was just asked to end Trump's campaign for president. Other than Colorado with the 14th Amendment, I don't know where it's going with that. You don't see any reason to end Trump's campaign for president, do you?
I don't see why he should get to be on the ballot after Fox News had to pay $1 billion for telling his law, but okay.
Yeah. Well, he just on the devil's advocate side in defense of Trump, he believed the election was stolen. I mean, he does have a First Amendment right to say how he feels, doesn't he?
His daughter even said so in the January 6th hearings. He did not. He knew he lost.
Well, even if you
texting that Pence had not agreed to do what they wanted to was throwing gasoline on the fire.
But doesn't he have a First Amendment right to say, even if you don't believe it? Does he not have a first?
The free world has a responsibility to this country and to the Constitution, which he swore to, even though he said he did not. And if he did not, he shouldn't be president.
Yeah. So you believe him suggesting that he won the 2020 election, that alone should disqualify him?
No, the fake electorate should disqualify
Okay,
him.
all right. Yeah, and I can see more of that because they were actually taking action and committing actual crimes. But are we
disenfranchising the voters?
Yeah, but do we have evidence that they were actually doing it at the order of Trump?
Yeah, they're turning on him. They're actually, the ones in Georgia actually flipped and they're going to testify against him.
Well, until that happens, though, you can't convict a man and say what he can or cannot do. I mean, I'm not saying that Trump is innocent.
I'm just listening to the Republican Party. They're the ones that are doing the arresting and the, I mean, and it's Trump's FBI that did all this investigation. I mean, he put the lead guy in office. I don't see what the issue is. I don't see why Republicans have a problem.
Yeah, no doubt there are a lot of,
Do his job.
yeah, no doubt there's a lot of Republicans testifying against Trump. But at the end of the day, until he's proven guilty in a court of law, we can't go around, taking his rights away and things like that, can we? I mean, he hasn't been found
They do it
guilty.
to Hunter.
You said what?
They do it to Hunter.
Hunter's not a
Hunter's
politician.
guilty without a trial, and I mean they do it all the time.
Yeah, but-
It's just when it's their candidate they don't want it done.
Yeah.
I'm just being realistic here.
Well, they absolutely did it to Hillary. I don't know. To me, Hunter Biden is not a politician. The only purpose of even bringing his name up is because they're trying to connect him to Joe Biden. But yeah, Hunter Biden, I think most folks on the left could care less about Hunter Biden.
I speak on it for the hypocrisy's sake. They care about it that they want him in jail, and they care about the fact that they care about 2A and no infringement of their rights until it comes to Hunter. That's my point.
All right, fair enough. Well, then I do got to move it on because for some reason we got so many problems. But I do want to ask you one
Have
thing
a wonderful day.
real quick before I do let you go, though. Nikki Haley, the Civil War being about states' rights, not mentioning slavery. Did she drop the ball on that?
Yeah. Look, I'm assuming she must have gone to school in the South because we were taught the lost cause history and have to unlearn it. So I'm just
Now, you're in Alabama. What were you taught down there?
the lost cause theory. I'm not kidding. We had a green history book that taught us misinformation towards the Republican side too. That's why I get when I laugh when they say, the Democrats are changing your school books. No, it's the Democrats again.
What is? Wait! I've never heard of this. What is the lost
The
cause
South
theory?
shall rise again.
What is the lost?
The government, basically, they teach it was about everything but slavery too.
Okay.
They try real hard to disenfranchise people in the southern states.
Wow. All right, I got to look that up. You're the first person to ever tell me about it. I've never heard of the lost cause
The
theory,
lost
but
cause theory.
I'll definitely take a look at it. All right, Andy, go ahead and drop your side out because this side
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, go ahead and drop out, and we'll see if the screen goes back. Real quick, looking on YouTube while that's happening. You folks, let me know if the screen comes back. Haley should be so ashamed of herself. Oh, she would rather cater to the sensitive folks who can't stand to hear the Civil War was about slavery. Snowflakes. Yikes. And I do see some validity to that. Whereas Nikki Haley is trying to prevent from, losing half of her audience. So she was trying to tiptoe around the statement. Now, Nikki Haley is the one that took the Confederate flag off the Capitol building after Dylan Roof shot up like 9 African Americans in a church or something. And she had a lot of negative things to say about the Confederate flag. Took a lot of flack from folks in her state when she was a governor of South Carolina. So the idea that she is now in 2023 trying to describe what happened to bring about the Civil War without mentioning slavery, yeah, she's trying to prevent from losing a certain audience. Some in the political sphere would call it pandering. She was trying to tiptoe around the answer, just like when you ask questions about January 6th and things like that. I do believe, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, I do believe there are folks that are answering that question, not necessarily how they truly feel. Liberals do the same thing. There are liberals that do the same thing. Like, for instance, if you ask, should Joe Biden run again? I don't believe all liberals answering that question are telling you exactly how they feel. I think folks behind the scenes are saying different things. Looking at Rumpelstiltskin, I see that user. Nikki Haley is trying not to lose her racist voter base. Wow. I don't understand. Now, I suppose you could lie about the origin of the Civil War or the cause of it without being racist. But yeah, I'm assuming there's a lot of that in there as well. I mean, fact is, the history of America is dark. And we perpetrate ourselves as the best nation on earth, the freest nation on earth. And we talk about other nations that mistreat their own people and deny freedom to their own people. So there is a legitimate reason not to want to air our dirty laundry. For the simple fact is, you can't go around chastising people if you got a history of doing the same thing. So let's kind of keep what we did under wraps, because we're holding other people accountable. So I mean, I don't know if that means you're racist saying that, but I do believe that America kind of reminds me of maybe someone who has just found Jesus, just found God, just found Jehovah, just found religion, that had a dark past, or maybe they hung out in the club or they were promiscuous or something. But the moment they became saved, they're suddenly criticizing all their friends. And you look, dude, you was just in the club with me last year this time. You hit that too. Why the hell are you criticizing what you would have hit her this time last year as well? Now all of a sudden you found Jesus? To me, that's kind of how America is. We got our act together, and now we're criticizing everybody else for doing what we would have done just a generation or two ago. I do believe that is what's going on. Looking in the comments, a nation afraid to exercise freedom of speech is not free. True, but there is consequences to freedom of speech. You can say any damn thing you want, but you can't say it without consequence. Just like some would say that what President Trump stated in regards to the election. He had the right to say that. He had freedom of speech. If you think you won by a landslide, you have freedom, but there are consequences to it. I mean, we know a lot of mayhem has taken place in this country because of what he said. And real quick, before I go back to the bots, earlier in the program, we talked about folks on the right, because folks suggest that the liberals are the ones that's going after Trump, and I brought up a host of folks on the right that are also going after Trump. And someone stated that Mike Pence is a traitor. I think that comment came from YouTube. Traitor because he didn't do what Trump asked. One of the questions I wanted to pose is, what would have happened if Mike Pence refused to certify the election like Trump ordered? Gives Trump a little bit more time. But at the end of the day, we got 3 years now. Looking back, would he have been able to present enough evidence to suggest he won? I mean, we've had 3 years now to look back. Is there enough evidence now, 3 years later, to convince you that Trump won without having to make any assumptions? I've seen this, and this. Shows me without a shadow of a doubt Trump won. I'm going to say probably not, but I know a lot of you folks in the comments may have a difference of opinion. We'll keep it moving, though. PT, Nem, I appreciate that. You guys that are holding. Yeah, oh, shit. Now, you got a major echo. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. You hear me all right?
Yeah, and once again, I'm sure the screen has went black again. TikTok definitely is doing something with the program, but we'll go ahead and tackle the subject since you're on here. Obviously, you've been holding on. I'll give you the floor. What say you on this? That January 6th was perpetrated by the feds.
Honestly, I think it's just unbelievable that we're still having that conversation, because it was like just widely discussed that there was going to be a rally like days and weeks ahead of time. There was being discussed by the Republicans, by Trump, by Rudy Giuliani. There's absolutely zero proof or zero evidence that anything was set up by the feds. It was all organized by the Republicans. There's just zero question about
Okay, all right. So what about the notion then that even if the Republicans organized it, the Steve Bannons, the Giulianis you're talking about, Flynn and all of them, what about the notion that once it took off, the feds were in the crowd, the Ray Epps, and they were instigating people to do it?
There was a pretty lengthy interview with Ray Epps where he explained, like, he wasn't like an active federal agent at the time. And honestly, if you were the CIA, FBI, whatever, wouldn't you want to have people in there to see what's going on and to see who's doing what?
Yeah.
Like, it would, if I was the head of one of those organizations, I would say, let's put people in there to see what happens, to see who's the leader is, and let's catch these people, right? So if there were, they were probably there by design to catch these people. But it's ridiculous to say that the whole thing was set up when Trump was calling for this rally from the time he knew he lost the election up until January 6th. They organized the whole thing. They had to get a permit to have the damn rally in the first place. So there's your proof for people saying, where's your proof? They had to get a permit to have the damn rally in the first place. So anybody to say that the rally was planned by the Democrats or whoever is just honestly just unfathomable to me at this point.
Now, Vivek is offering pardons. He thinks that they are all victims of entrapment by the Fed. So, I mean, do you see any way where this should disqualify Vivek for he said on day one, he's going to pardon those folks.
Look, that guy is a friggin' wacko. You and I both know it. We've talked about Vivek before, you and I. And listen, these people that are in prison right now are being convicted by juries of their peers, right? Republicans and Democrats alike. For somebody in order for them to have been wrongfully accused, you'd have to think that every judge, every jury, whether it was somebody appointed by Trump, Biden, whatever, is all completely corrupt, which is BS. All of these juries are made up of people just like you and I. They get called for jury duty. They get down there, they hear the actual evidence, which no one on your TikTok or any of us is aware of. We're not in the courtroom when they're doing this stuff, but they're all being convicted because their phone records show that they were there. They were in the building. I just saw something today, I think, where there was some sheriff or some place that got convicted within the last day or so. He was there with the hatchet, for crying out loud, and he's a police officer.
Wow.
So these guys are all being convicted by juries. It's not like Joe Biden is there saying you're all guilty. So for Vivek or anybody else to say we're going to pardon these criminals who have been legally convicted by a jury is ridiculous. It should disqualify him from being a candidate for president. Just the fact that he's saying he wants to go in and pardon people that are convicted criminals, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a hell of a hill to die on. I don't necessarily have any pushback. I just moving on. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
All right, good talking to you again. Take care.
Absolutely. And I asked that you go ahead and draft because once again the box did not come up. Looking in the comments, all praises to ya. We ain't free in this nation. We are controlled. Hence, take the vaccines or you will be fired from your job. That ain't no damn free country. Well, let me just say, this is coming from YouTube. Like I said, we run a simulcast on YouTube. In regards to us not being free in this country, I'm black. Tell me a time when we were free. I mean, is it a surprise? But you talk about take the vaccine or you'll be fired from your job. Then quit your job. Because there are plenty of unvaccinated people roaming around the United States. The government did not come in your house and jab you. Just like we would tell a female, if you don't like the pro-life laws in your state, then move. That's what a lot of folks on the right are saying. It's a states' rights issue. If you're not happy that your state is one pro-life, then move. Well, that would also apply to your employer. If you don't like that your employer is requiring that you become vaccinated, then quit. Go somewhere else. How many liberals are complaining that their employer won't pay a livable wage? What is the response? Then quit and get another job. Go back to school. Move to a different environment where they pay more. Okay, then how about applying that to the suggestion about the vax? You can live in America without being vaccinated. Nobody's forcing you to be vaccinated in the government. Now, if you work for the feds or in the military has always required you take different vaccinations. If you're going to go serve overseas in a certain... The military, you don't have total rights in the military. You know that going in. But fact is, a lot of the things that the right are telling folks on the left, they don't want to hear when it comes back to them. But if you don't like what your employer is doing, take your own advice. Switch employers. Looking in the comments, that were actually studied, not studied for 2 weeks. Jordan Lynn Garten, you're suggesting that the jab was not studied for 2 weeks. Then don't get jabbed. I just gave you your answer. If you believe they didn't do enough research on it, then don't take it. But if you believe in the free market, not big government, then you should be okay with your employer exercising their right. They don't want you to work for them. That's what happens when you promote the free market. Now, if you're on the liberal side of big government, then you want big government to go in there and tell your employer, you got to hire him, you got to keep him working whether he's been jabbed or not. But folks on the right don't like big government. You want to leave it up to the employer to do whatever they want. Well, they chose not to keep you employed. You can't complain about your own recipe when somebody serves you a spoonful of it. Looking in the comments, Epps wasn't just a watching Fed. He pushed for violence, says J.J. Sim. Well, in regards to the notion that Ray Epps was instigating a riot or promoting, before I go back to the box, I would just say this. Hundreds of thousands of folks. Some folks have said 1 million people went to Washington on January 6th. I don't know what the actual numbers were, but we know it was tens of thousands of people in support of President Trump. You receive social media, email, maybe even phone calls from Trump or folks directly working for Trump as a reason to come out here. Stop the steal, whatever the case may be. You show up in D.C., you sit before several Trump speakers working directly with the president. Steve Bannon, Flynn, Giuliani, followed by the president himself. The president tells you to go to the Capitol building and go there peacefully. Capitol building is only 2 miles away. You're going to tell me you came there to see the president and all his speakers, and within a damn 2-mile walk, Ray Epps, some guy you don't know from Adam, convinced you to do everything opposite of what you actually came there for. The president said go peacefully. You decided this Ray Epps dude sounds better. We'll take his advice. That makes sense, huh? That really makes sense. That Ray Epps, the guy that no one came to see, was able to convince all of these folks to go against the president, the man they came there to defend. Somewhere along the line, this does not make sense. Ray Epps just became suddenly a huge, powerful guy. If Trump said go peacefully and Ray Epps convinced him to act violently, he suddenly became more powerful among MAGA than the president. How does that work? How does that work? Looking in the cover, are you still a Democrat after all the evidence? Wow, Sammy, what evidence? I'm asking, what evidence? Going back to the box, I want the evidence. That's what we're asking. What evidence? Dean Connolly. Perhaps Dean, yeah! Appreciate the adding mustache. Haven't seen much of that today, but I do thank you for that. Dean, January 6th, an inside job. Good afternoon. What say you?
I believe it was. I know that Trump didn't lead an insurrection because you don't call for troops 2 days before to go down there and protect the Capitol that you're going to go and try to overthrow.
Who called for troops?
Trump did. On the 4th, on the 5th, and again on the 6th.
Any idea why you would call for troops at a peaceful gathering?
Because he wanted it to remain peaceful. He didn't want anything to happen.
So
It's even more of a suggestion that he didn't want any kind of an insurrection.
So if you want to make sure troops are there to make sure it maintains a peaceful stance, and then you throw the gathering and you notice the troops are not there, why aren't you making sure before everybody shows up that the troops are officially there?
Because Pelosi was supposed to do that. Pelosi and the Capitol Police were supposed to do that. They didn't. And you said yourself, well, why would you trust Pelosi to do it? Why would, if she's so much against Trump, why would you think that she would call for the troops? But what you're basically saying when you say that is that this person's hate for Trump, she was willing to put the Capitol in jeopardy because of her hate for Trump.
But wait a minute. Let's go with what you're saying. Let's assume what you're saying is fact. That she hated Trump so much she decided to let the country go awry.
Well,
Trump,
that's what you had said.
Let's go with that. Trump suggested from day one that Nancy Pelosi was a danger to this country. So if she did as wrong as we're suggesting, why should that have been a surprise? Why would he not make sure that she is not continuing to be a traitor and the treasonous he's been calling her for the last 4 years? Why would he not verify that she didn't throw him under the bus on January 6th?
Well, he had done everything he was supposed to do.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He did not verify that the troops were actually there.
Because they had told him no. When it went to what they were supposed to do, they dropped the ball.
So, okay, fair enough. If you're throwing a party and you know it may get rowdy, you've asked for the local police to be there and they've told you no, why would you still throw the party?
So he was going to say, oh yeah, nobody come to this rally?
If it's not, if it's not safe, you're going to do it anyway. If you feel like you need the military because something may go wrong and you've been denied the military, you throw it anyway.
It's never going to be safe. If you get 1,000 people, you're going to have bad actors in that. I don't care if it's BLM. I don't care if it's rally for Trump. I don't care what it is. You get thousands of people together, you're going to have bad people in there.
Dean, you do realize you're talking about all of the American government, other than Trump in position number 1, all of the rest, all of the Senate, all of Congress, the vice president. You don't just say, well, it's going to be dangerous anyway. I mean, you got the head of America in that place. You throw that anyway?
No, he knew that there may be dangerous people there, and that's why he called for the troops. It was Pelosi and the Capitol Police that said, no, we don't need them. Why would you say we don't need them? Are you suggesting that Pelosi didn't know that it may be dangerous?
So, no, I'm agreeing with you. Everybody should have known it was going to be dangerous. What I'm disagreeing with you at is that if Trump knows the National Guard is not here, you call the event off. You don't have it anyway.
No, that really doesn't make sense. There are plenty of times where there were things going on that Democrats called for that they knew would be dangerous. They didn't call them off.
Then they're wrong too. Then they are wrong too. You don't deflect to other bad behavior. If what the Democrats did, then that's wrong too. But that doesn't excuse Trump.
Trump never called for any kind of violence. He never called for violence. How can you say he's leading an insurrection if he never said, go down there, attack the Capitol? He never said anything like that.
That's not what I'm saying, though, Dean. I'm saying that you're telling people something that is really pissing them off, and then you're going to tell them to go to the building where all the people you were pissed off are located, knowing you don't have proper security, and then act like I didn't think anything was going to go wrong.
No, he went down there and he told them to protest. There's nothing wrong with that.
That ain't what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. You hype up this crowd, and then you tell them to go to the location where everybody you're mad at is located. You don't see where anything could go wrong.
No, he was going down there. He was telling them, go down there and make your voices heard. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing more American than that.
Okay. So you think Trump did the right thing on that day?
I think there may have been times where there should have been a little more foresight. I do agree with you with that. But he's not a fortune teller. He doesn't know exactly what's going to happen.
I don't see that. I hear what you're saying. You're correct. The president's not a fortune teller. But the idea that you're speaking in front of a crowd that literally has erected a noose and is calling for the death of the vice president. And then you're going to say, let's march to the building where he's at. I'm not a fortune teller. I didn't know they were going to act crazy. That doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, we have a difference of opinion on that. Just like everyone saying that Trump's going to be some kind of a dictator when the facts are that the Democrats are the ones acting like dictators. They want to destroy democracy. Where Trump is saying, we want to secure votes. We want to make sure that every person's vote is counted and is correct. He's not saying, oh, let's make it so Democrats can't vote.
Well, if you're saying that,
saying, let's make it so they can't vote for Trump.
If you're saying that Trump wants to make sure everybody's votes counts, what happened with all these fake electors? Do you think they were trying to secure everybody's vote?
No, I think there are bad people that do bad things. I don't think he really called for it. He wasn't the one saying, hey, lie to them.
Okay, all right, fair enough. But then I have to ask you this question. Trump is pointing out everybody from Ruby Freeman and people he thinks cheated on the election and stole people's votes. Why isn't he saying anything about the fake electors? If he's calling out bad people doing bad things, why is he pretty much hush on all these fake electors that are pleading guilty?
He's holding his cards close to his chest. I agree with that. He's not going to just
why would he
show his hand the whole.
Why would he speak out? Why would he speak out against Ruby Freeman and some of these low-level people, but hold his cards close to his vest on these fake electors who had a hell of a lot more power and was trying to do a lot more damage?
Oh, because he's in trial for it. He's not going to bring out the things that might get him in trouble. I agree with that because there's a bias there. So you're not going to point out the people who are going to hurt you in that when you're on trial.
So do you believe these fake electors operating on behalf of Trump? Do you think they were trying to cheat?
I think they probably were, and I don't think they were doing it under Trump's direction. I think they thought they were doing something to help him, but that was them individually. That's not Trump.
Okay, so then if we are able to admit that fake electors existed, likely in Georgia, in Michigan, in Arizona, because they're actually performing cases after these people, how was Trump able to say he won by a landslide when we can show that there was a significant amount of Republican cheating as well? They were trying to not certify an entire state of voters at once. This isn't a few votes by a mailbox or a few illegal immigrants vote. This is the whole state. They were trying to discard a whole state full of voters.
And I agree. And unless we can get some safeguards on elections and on votes, then that question is going to come up over and over and over again. So why are we fighting the people who are saying, let's make sure that these votes are going to be valid? Why would you fight that?
Well, in regards to fighting whether votes are valid, you got to show a reason for why you're saying they're invalid.
There's so much controversy about it now. How can you not say?
Well, because
to make sure.
Because there is.
You want to stop all this?
Well, here's the problem though. When you say Dominion is switching votes to Joe Biden, and you end up losing big, by the way, you start losing credibility when you're starting to sound like the boy that cried wolf. You're coming up with all these things that happen, and not only are they discarding the things you're coming up with, they're starting to find Republicans that cheated. It starts to look like you're just throwing whatever you can against the wall in hopes to see what sticks.
That's why we need to That's why we need that validation. We need that validation. We need to know that every vote is secure. And we're trying to do that. Republicans are trying to do that. It's only the Democrats are saying, no, you don't get a voice. You don't get a choice. You can't vote for Trump.
Well, how are the Democrats saying you can't vote for Trump? What do you mean?
In Colorado, trying to take him off the ballot. You're taking away a person's right to choose. Well, you don't.
Yeah, in regards to what happened in Colorado, they're claiming that Trump violated the 14th Amendment. You don't see any possibility of that happened?
No, he wasn't convicted of insurrection. No one who is in jail now for January 6th was convicted of
That's not true.
Insurrection.
That's not true. Two of the leader of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers were both convicted of sedition. They have been convicted of that.
Okay, was that Trump?
No, but the 14th Amendment, if you read the verbiage of it, states that in addition to you doing something as an enemy of the United States, if you aid or comfort anybody else that is an enemy of the United States, you also qualify. Do you see where Trump offering to pardon two folks convicted of sedition might be aiding or comforting them?
Yeah, I'd have to look into that more. I don't want to speak on.
What if you looked at? Okay, that's fair enough. You can look at. What if you looked into it and you were able to find out that it was against the law to aid or comfort any of them? How would you feel about it then?
Well, it's still under the 14th Amendment, under Section 5. It says that it has to be by the Congress, which they're bypassing the Congress. Democrats bypass a whole bunch of people to get what they want.
Okay, so let me rephrase it then. Let me rephrase it. So if you were able to look into it and you found out it was against the law to aid or comfort someone that was convicted of sedition, do you believe that Congress should prevent him from running?
You know, I'd have to have solid proof of it. I'm not here to just like the
If you had solid proof that he was aiding or comforting someone that was convicted of sedition, would you believe that Congress should prevent him from running?
I'd have to make that decision once there was solid proof.
I'm asking you, if you had the proof, what would make your decision still have to be thought on?
It's just
take your time.
They're pulling straws. They're just reaching for anything to get them off the ballot.
Okay, all right, but that And there's nothing wrong with you believing. I just wanted to get your answer to that question. If you believe they're trying to find anything they can, that's fine. But I did want to figure out if you believed that they had solid proof where he was trying to aid or abet someone. The verbiage, the actual verbiage says aid or comfort. If he was providing aid or comfort to someone convicted of sedition, do you believe Congress should remove him? Now, you're saying you still have to look into it, so I did want to get your answer. But I do got to move it on, Dean. It's a pleasure talking to you. Hey, anytime.
Thank you, sir.
Absolute. Looking into the comments real quick. Yada, 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 yeah. Who said that? User 128. He said, go after he worked him up, says Paul Howard. Trump did say go peacefully. There's no denying he said go peacefully. However, as Paul points out in the comments, he also worked him up. Now, we can debate whether that's a crime or not, or whether he's, guilty of insurrection. We can debate that. But my point is the fact of what happened on January 6th being predictable, to me, doesn't seem like it's up to debate. To piss somebody off that much, thousands of people, and then send them to the location where the people are actually located. Whether you think Trump is responsible for it or not, I'm just simply saying what happened is predictable. What happened is predictable. You're speaking in front of an audience that's calling for the death of the vice president. And then somebody basically is yelling out, well, there he is. Let's go hang out and be peaceful around him. I don't know where to go with that. But you're telling the folks to go to the building where the people they think stole the election is actually located. And the suggestion is I expected them to all behave. I don't know where to go with that. In the comments, Kevin Patrick Palmer says a pardon is not aid or comfort. Really? I'm due to spend 18 years in prison, and you're going to pardon and let me out, and you're not aiding or comforting me at all. Really? Wow. Then what is your definition of aiding or comforting? You're going to let me out of prison, and that's not aiding or comforting me. I would submit to you just simply offering or making a notion that you're going to pardon somebody is at least providing comfort. If I'm sitting in prison about to rot away there, because these guys got 18, 22 years respectively, and they're both like my age. 22 years in prison for a guy my age, that's damn near a life sentence. I'm 50 years old. I'm 51 years old. That would be a long time. So if I'm sitting in prison, first, second year of a 18-year or 22-year sentence like the leader of the Proud Boys or Oath Keepers, and I hear that the president or the former president is suggesting that if he wins, he's going to consider pardoning me. You telling me I don't feel a little bit of comfort, a little bit of hope? Because otherwise I'm here forever. You tell me that's not comforting at all? To know that I now have some hope that I didn't used to have? I don't know where to go with that. In the comments, I see someone without a name yelling MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. We get it. That sounds comforting to me. Yeah, it sounds comforting. I'm going to assume family members of these guys would have called them right away. The president has said if he gets elected, he'll pardon you. I mean, like, that's comforting. What the hell? Dude, if that's not comforting, I don't know what else is. I mean, we can say that Trump, whatever you want to say, whatever side of the aisle you're on, but to say that ain't comforting somebody doesn't make sense. It's got, BS2 says it's got to include a MAGA happy ending. Yikes. He was tweeting to the people the whole time. Yeah, and not to mention the January 6th choir issue should also be comforting to some degree as well. Because if Trump wins, at the very least, you got an ally in the White House. I think he has made that abundantly clear, that if I get elected, you have an ally in the White House. I might not pardon you, whatever the case may be. If I win again, you got an ally in the White House. I don't see how that's not comforting, unless you want to make up some complicated definition for comforting someone. Even, for instance, let's say you're a parent, you got a child that is sick. You may not have any way of making that child get better, but maybe rubbing their head or telling them things are going to be all right is comforting to them. Sometimes your words can be comforting alone. The child may actually think you got magical powers. The idea that he's speaking positively of these people, you don't see no comforting in that at all, huh? That sounds weird to me. This is a bizarre argument about aid and comfort, says Case. Well, what is the definition of aid and comfort? You guys let me know in the comments. If what I'm suggesting makes no damn sense at all, if an offer of a pardon is not aid, then what is? Name something that someone doing 18 years in prison would value more than a pardon. If that's not aid or comfort, let me know what is. I can't imagine anything being more desired than that. That's not aid, huh? We'll keep it moving. I don't know where to go with that. Razor Buzz.
Hello, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm hearing that January 6th was an inside job. What say you? I don't know. I must have just hit the wrong button. All right, well, anyway, I'll go look at YouTube real quick. I dropped a live. I do apologize. It's lunch break live. It's about that time anyway. I don't know what I just hit, but I do appreciate you folks. Kay says this seems like twisting the definition of words. Well, in regards to the notion that suggesting offering a pardon is not aid or comfort, then I offer you the chance to state your definition of what aid and comfort is. If what I'm saying is twisting it, give me your definition of what you think it is. Tell me how, if you were serving double-digit years in prison, you would not feel like I'm aiding and comforting you at all if I was offering to get you out. You would look at me and say, you ain't aiding and comforting me at all. I offered you a pardon, man. I'm looking up. You ain't aiding or comforting me. Explain to me how that works. Explain to me your definition of what aiding and comforting is. That way the words won't be twisted. I want to hear what you have to say in regards to what's aiding and comforting. What happened to TikTok feed? I hit the wrong button. I was about to take the next caller and I actually dropped it by accident. Isn't the power to pardon a veto to help potential wrongful convictions? No. A pardon has nothing to do with wrongful convictions. Nothing to do at all with wrong. A lot of folks have been pardoned, such as Nixon, President Nixon. That wasn't a wrongful conviction he was potentially facing. No. A pardon is about letting somebody out, period. For whatever reason you want to let them out for. Bill Clinton pardoned a lot of bad guys. It has nothing to do with a wrongful conviction. It's just you using your power to let somebody out. You just don't want that person in jail no more. It has nothing to do with a wrongful conviction. Looking in the comments real quick. We ain't, okay, all right, let's go back to where it said we ain't free. All right, so I did cover the comments though. I just don't understand the claim that offering somebody a pardon is not offering aid or comfort. We know what the word aid means. Imagine sitting across the table as the president and asking somebody who is convicted, is there anything I could do for you? Anything. You know who I am. I'm the president of the United States. I know you're in there for the next 18 to 20 years. Is there anything I could do to aid or comfort you? What do you think they're going to ask for? Some ramen noodles? What do you think if I offered you as an inmate, I'm willing to do anything I can to aid or comfort you? What would you ask for? So I'm giving you aid or comfort, and as an inmate, you would consider letting your ass out of jail as aid. If I offered to aid or comfort you in any way possible, you wouldn't ask to get out, huh? You wouldn't consider that as aid or comfort at all. Yeah. The question is why the power of pardon exists, not merely for potential of wrongful convictions, but in part. Do presidents have the legitimate power to pardon these convicted? Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. The president has the power to pardon himself of a crime. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. It's a no questions asked thing. And I've said before, I strongly believe after President Trump is no longer in line for the presidency, whether he serves a second term, whether he passes away or just gets out of politics, you're going to see a host of anti-Trump laws come down the pipe that both the left and right are going to support together, such as what we're discussing here. If you are the president and you commit a crime while in the White House, you can't pardon yourself for it. I think before Trump came along, everybody would have agreed with that. After Trump's out of the picture, I think everybody will agree. If you're president and you commit a crime while in office and you're being charged, you can't pardon yourself for it. Next, if you are a felon, you can't run for office. If Trump was in office right now and this whole 91 charges shit wasn't happening, I think all of America would agree that a felon cannot run for president. But right now we're putting it aside because Trump is seeking the nation's highest office. 5 years ago, we would have all agreed with it. 5 years in the future, I think we'll all agree you can't run for office as a felon. Next, you cannot serve as the nation's commander-in-chief while incarcerated. 5 years ago, we would have all agreed with that. Once Trump is out of the picture, we'll all agree you can't be president while incarcerated. These are anti-Trump laws that will come down the pipe because no one ever expected this stuff to ever come up. Trump has pushed the envelope to the point where nobody ever thought somebody would potentially try to run for office from jail or with a bunch of felonies or pardon themselves. Nobody ever thought this stuff would happen. So I do believe after Trump's out of the picture, this stuff will, just like they passed a law now to clarify whether Mike Pence could have, not certified the vote or whatever. They've now made it clear, no, you can't tell the vice president not to certify the vote. That's now an anti-Trump law that is in place. That would not have been there if it wasn't for Trump. He's pushing the envelope in ways that I do believe you're going to start seeing people pass laws to prevent. Also, right now we know whether you think the liberals are on a witch hunt against Trump or you think Trump is guilty, whatever side of the aisle you may be on, we know Trump is trying to delay his cases so that he can get in court and interfere with them. He might be successful. It might be a witch hunt. Take it either way you want. Just want to suggest that in the future, that's probably going to be prevented from happening. If you're up for a crime, you're up on charges, you got to settle that before getting in the White House and giving you the potential to literally play musical chairs with all the prosecutors in the case against you. If Trump gets elected, Merrick Garland and Jack Smith are out of a job. It'll be someone who is more in line with Trump's thinking, that it's all a witch hunt. And you'll likely hear from the federal government, these charges should never have been filed, and the federal government has decided to toss out the case. That's what is the goal. Delay it until I can get in office and get these people out. Put somebody else in that don't think I should have ever been charged. Whether you think the man is guilty or whether you think the man is innocent, you shouldn't have the power to do that, period. You shouldn't have, if somebody decides to charge you with tax fraud or even murder, you shouldn't have the power to fire the guy trying to prosecute you and put somebody you specifically think is great for the country in place of them, knowing they're going to drop the charges against you. That should not be allowed. Not saying Trump is innocent or guilty. That just shouldn't be allowed. Should not be allowed. You shouldn't be able to do that. It's not weak because the fact that he said he can be seen as already giving comfort. I don't know where to go with that, but I'm just simply saying if you were serving time in prison and the president walked into the cafeteria to talk to you and he asked you, you know who I am, I'm the commander-in-chief. Is there anything I could do to aid or comfort you? First thing he would say is get my ass out of jail, period. As a convict, you would view getting you out of jail as aid or comfort. That's the first thing anybody would say. Can you get my ass out of jail, Mr. President? So the idea that offering pardons is not aid or comfort is ridiculous. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal.